Once upon a time, in a bustling city filled with dreams and expectations, there lived a young man named Alex. Every morning, Alex would wake up to his alarm clock playing a different tune. Sometimes it was the cheerful chirping of birds. Other times, it was the dramatic theme from Mission Impossible. It was as if even his alarm couldn't decide what mood to set for the day. Alex's room was a curious mix of two worlds. On one side, there were stacks of engineering textbooks that seemed to grow taller every day, like a forest of knowledge he wasn't sure he wanted to explore. On the other side, hidden behind a curtain, was his prized possession, a slightly beat-up but well-loved camera. It was an old model, but to Alex, it was more valuable than any fancy gadget. Each day, Alex would sit at his desk, his fingers hovering over the keyboard like a pianist, about to perform a complicated sonata. But instead of creating music, he was crafting cover letters and resumes. He'd send them out into the digital void, imagining them as paper airplanes soaring towards their destinations. Sometimes he'd even make a wish before hitting the send button, as if it were a modern-day wishing well. The rejections came like clockwork, each one a tiny paper cut to his dreams. But Alex had developed a unique coping mechanism. He'd take each rejection letter and turn it into an origami animal. Soon his room was filled with a menagerie of paper creatures, rejection rhinos, declined ducks, and not at this time tigers. It was his way of transforming disappointment into something whimsical and beautiful. Despite the growing paper zoo in his room, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was stuck in a loop, like a hamster on a wheel, running but never really getting anywhere. His parents' words echoed in his mind. A good job is the key to a good life. But every time he looked at his camera, he felt a spark that no talk of job security could ignite. One particularly gloomy Tuesday, it always seemed to be a Tuesday when big decisions were made, Alex received yet another rejection. As he began to fold it into what was going to be a sorry not sorry sloth, something inside him snapped, not in a bad way, but like a twig breaking under the snow, signaling the arrival of spring. He put down the half-folded paper and picked up his camera instead. Looking through the viewfinder, the world suddenly seemed clearer than it had in months. He realized that while he had been so busy trying to fit into the picture others had framed for him, he'd forgotten to capture his own. With trembling hands but a steady heart, Alex began to write a letter to his parents. He poured out his feelings, his dreams, and his newfound determination. As he wrote, he felt as if he were developing a photograph, slowly revealing the true image of himself. "Dear Mom and Dad," he began, "I know you want the best for me, but I've realized that the best me is the one behind the camera, not behind a desk." As he finished the letter, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He knew the path ahead would be challenging, full of steep learning curves and unexpected exposures. But for the first time in a long time, he was excited about the journey. That night, as Alex went to bed, his alarm clock started playing the Star Wars theme. He smiled, thinking it was oddly appropriate. Tomorrow would be the first day of his new adventure, and he was ready to be the hero of his own story. And so, our young photographer embarked on his quest, armed with nothing but a camera and a heart full of determination. He knew there would be times when life would try to push him down, but he was prepared to bounce back up, just like the shutter of a camera, always ready for the next shot.